Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/campaign to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
So he had a ramp, he came with a ramp, but he couldn't take the ramp out?
Yes.
Why not? How big? I mean, I don't get it. The truck is way bigger than the ramp. Why couldn't he get it out?
I asked him.
This is the plaintiff, Betsy Serapilio. She says the defendant and his careless men damaged her sliding glass door and deck when they moved a piano out of her house. She thinks the guy got in way over his head moving the heavy piano. He refuses to pay for the repairs she now needs to her house, and so she's suing him to the tune of $1,475. This is the defendant, Joseph. He says he did nick the plaintiff's door frame, but the woman called a repair company who came out and fixed it for no charge because it was just a little cosmetic thing. As far as the deck goes, there's no damage he's responsible for. He doesn't know why this woman is suing him now almost 8 months after he was there, but hey, it's a free country. He's accused of leaving a customer on a sour note.
All parties, please use your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
Yes. The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Millian presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Serapilio, you are suing. You've asked to be referred to only as Joseph for $1,475 in damages that you say he did to your house when he was moving a piano for a client of his. All right, tell me what happened.
Sure. In June, I advertised on Facebook that I was giving a piano away. And the only stipulation I made was that the person to whom the piano would go would have to pay for a piano mover.
Well, actually, what you said was professional mover, right?
A professional mover who also moved pianos.
Do you have the ad?
You know, I bet I do.
Okay. Have you ever moved pianos before?
Yes.
How many times?
100.
Oh, well, you could stop looking. All right, it doesn't matter. He says he's moved pianos 100 times. All right, so go on. So you were giving it away for free.
Yes.
So long it was professionally moved by someone with experience moving pianos. So you got a taker, and they hire him.
Yes.
And so you left the hiring up to them.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he comes to your house, and what happens? What do you notice? What do you say? What happens?
Actually, he showed up quite a bit late. I was asked to be ready between the hours of 1 and 3. The person who's going to accept the piano called me at 2:45 and said he was running late. And at 4:20, someone parked in front of my house and stayed there in a truck, and I went out there and asked him who he was, and he said he worked for the defendant and that the defendant was running late but would be there shortly. And the defendant did show up at 4:30 and agreed to a plan that the best way to move the piano would be to move it out the deck doors, from the living room to the dining room, right out the deck doors.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I couldn't find the defendant for a few minutes, about 20 minutes, and I wondered what was going on. And I saw him outside, and he said he was trying to get the ramp off of his truck to move the piano down the steps. But apparently he couldn't.
He couldn't what?
He couldn't get the ramp off of his moving truck.
So he had a ramp, he came with a ramp, but he couldn't take the ramp out?
Yes.
Why not? How big? I mean, I don't get it. The
It was
truck
a
is way
regular-
bigger than the ramp. Why couldn't you get it out?
I asked him.
What happened with the ramp?
So that ramp is attached to the truck. I have a separate ramp, but I was home at the time. So
I thought you were on another job, and that's why you were an hour and a half late.
My movers were. This was a Sunday. I was home.
Okay.
So I have multiple crews.
Okay.
The crew, there was only one out on that Sunday.
Okay.
So they were running late. I left my house, knowing that she was stressed for time. She needed us there by a certain time.
Right.
I knew it couldn't, we were told that we could not reschedule it because she was going to give it to somebody else.
Right.
So I left my house. I had one of my other movers, grab a truck, meet me at the job site. So I was.
Why couldn't you? Okay, the whole point of a ramp is to be able to use it. Why
Yes.
couldn't you get it out of the truck?
So we have a separate ramp. Usually we can take those ramps off. When we do a piano, we bring a separate ramp.
Oh,
And
because this ramp is attached to the truck?
this is a ramp.
So
that's
it just
attached
kind
to
of
the
pulls
truck.
out for you to put things in and out of the truck.
Typically
I got
we can
it.
take it off, but on this truck it was rusted on. In this situation, I was in a
Okay, so you
rush.
had no ramp. You went to get a piano and you had no ramp.
Yes, I rushed it as quickly as I could.
Well, no, that's not good, because that's why we have all these problems, because you really do need a ramp. How much does this piano weigh?
The damage.
How much does the
that's
piano weigh?
About 500 pounds.
Right, it's 500 pounds. So what was the plan? If you didn't have a ramp, what was the plan?
Well, it's a 50-50 shot. A lot of times we don't.
You know who didn't want a 50-50 shot? That lady.
I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
That lady had one specification. All right, so go on. It's a 50-50 shot what?
Whether we need a ramp or not, and because the piano was going to be given away if we didn't get there, I called my guy. I met them there as quickly as I
How
possibly
about you
could.
just adhere to the plan that, you made? But anyway, go ahead.
Because in the moving industry, it's very common for things to, every once in a while, it'll go over an estimate because they didn't know everything they had.
No, I understand. I've moved before. I know that it's not uncommon, but then give yourself a wider window. Don't say 1 to 3. If you know that you are often 2 hours late or an hour late, give yourself 1 to 6, and then don't head out there at 5:50. But anyway, all right. So you go there. You don't have the tools to do the job, and what do?
Well, the damage was not caused because we didn't.
No, we're going to get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Tell me what you do. You get there, you try to remove the ramp off the truck, but it's rusted on, and then what do?
So then I have a dolly. I roll it out and we get it out of the house.
How do you get it out of the house? On a dolly?
Yeah, but we only got it onto the deck, and then we decided because of the stairs there's no way we're going to do it without a ramp.
Didn't you look at that before you got it out on the deck?
Yes.
So if you knew you weren't going to be able to, why put it on the deck? Because that's part of the problem, is that she says that it ruined the deck because it was there for an hour while you guys went and looked for a ramp. So no matter what, she had to wait anyway. So when do you guys find a ramp? At what time?
I don't know the time, but we went to our shop, which is about 20 minutes away, and then grabbed a ramp.
And then you come back, and then you have and so now the piano's been on the deck. Well, let's get to before the deck. What happens? Go ahead.
I would like to say that when I questioned, how will you move this piano down the deck stairs without a ramp? He said, I've done this hundreds of times. We can do this. Okay. So the piano's in the dining room, and the threshold between the dining room and the deck, it's an old house, so it's a wooden register, a cold air return, I think they call it. And I said, you're going to crush it. Please go to your truck and just get a piece of plywood so you can roll the piano over the plywood rather than my cold air register. And he said, I don't have any wood on my truck. So this is really...
So there's no ramp, there's no plywood, there's no tarps, there's nothing. What are they doing? Just wheeling it through your house?
Yeah.
All right, and then they get to the sliding glass door part, and what do? They just think they're going to lift a 500-pound piano, or is there a dolly? What is it that's happening there?
They have a dolly,
right,
but it's going to crush the register.
So is the piano on its side on the dolly, like fulcrum, or no? The piano is...
I think it's just straight on.
Yeah, but how big is the dolly? How is the piano on the dolly?
Just upright.
It's upright, but not. When we say upright, you mean on its side?
No, it's an upright piano, so it's not one of the ones that's like a baby grand or grand piano. It's an upright.
No, I know. I know what the piano looks like. How does the piano look when it's on your dolly?
Just exactly how it stands.
Mm-hmm. Exactly how it stands. So you have. So it's like the things you see at Home Depot that are these really long beds that you can...
It's like a commercial, like a heavy-duty four-wheel dolly, rubber wheels, 4-inch rubber wheels.
So how big is the base of it? As big as the piano?
No, it's like...
Right, so how could you possibly have the piano on it? You had to have the piano on its side then, or something.
No, it's a flat bottom. It's a solid bottom.
So you're carrying it by the underbelly of the piano?
Yes.
Yeah, I got it. All right, so now you get to the sliding glass doors, and what happens?
I do want to say that I did have to go to my neighbor's house to get a piece of wood to put down so they could
And your neighbor had a piece of wood? It's not like a cup of sugar. All right, so your neighbor had a piece of wood, and then what?
We put that down, and they got the piano out on the deck. But before they did, I heard, you could tell it got stuck. I could hear the squeaking sound. They moved the piano. I said, you have to angle it. You're trying to go straight through. You've got to angle the piano. They did. They got the piano on the deck. Unfortunately, in doing so, the door frame, the door is not flush with the frame. And then the track of the sliding glass door, the plastic pieces are bent.
The door is not flush with the frame. What does that mean?
So if you see the frame of the door itself is hanging below a little bit.
Is this after they did damage, or you're saying that's how it always is because it's so old?
After the piano was stuck.
Okay, so it damaged the frame of your sliding glass door.
Yes, and then the track.
And the track.
Come to me.
Focus Features invites you to succumb to the darkness.
Nosferatu.
From director Robert Eggers comes a masterpiece of horror.
He is coming.
This creature is a force more powerful than evil. It is death itself.
Nosferatu. Rated R. Under 17 nanometer without parent. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Special engagements in Dolby and IMAX.
Streaming December 12th on Peacock. Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie are back.
That's hot. Loves it.
For a show-stopping reunion that will prove putting on an opera is anything but simple.
We're really good at this.
One thing's for sure, they won't be upstaged.
Good to have you back. Come on, we've got a show to do.
Paris and Nicole, The Encore, a 3-part reunion special, streaming December 12th, only on Peacock.
Is this what we're talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you'll see to the left where it's bent as well.
Okay. So, and then they get it out onto the deck, and oh no, there's more stairs, and then they decide they do need the ramp instead of getting the ramp before they move it out to the deck. And what happens? This 500-pound piano is on your deck, and what is your deck made out of?
Composite wood. It was almost 2 years old.
Right.
It's made of composite wood.
So they go get the ramp, and then they remove it, and do you notice the damage to the deck right away?
No.
All right.
Not at all, because I have a table that I usually put right in that area. So I only noticed it when I went to go out onto the deck. It could have been a couple weeks later, and I just tripped. And I thought, was I being clumsy? So I walked again, tripped again, and then I realized some boards were, I didn't know if some were popped up or if others had been pressed down.
So what was it?
Well, according to my contractor's estimate and his description, it looked like the supporting woods below the deck were pushed down, so some of the boards are pushed down. He said it was about 1/4 of an inch from where they should be.
Did you have to, this is the gap you were talking about?
Oh, yes.
And it wasn't like that before?
No.
All right. Oh, this is the damage to this is...
Oh, yes.
Pretty good picture. There's a piano and there's the damage. All right, so you noticed it, you bring it up right away because the piano's still there in this picture. And he tells you what when you talk to him about the damage to the sliding glass door frame?
This is what he said to me. He said, I can fix that for you. I can bend it back. And I said, absolutely, do not touch it.
Okay.
Today's been a debacle. I'll call the people, the installers, and I'll get a quote from them.
Well, what installers are that? I thought this was super old, like you wouldn't know who installed it. You mean you call professionals who work with this?
No, the professionals who installed the deck.
They installed it for you?
The glass doors.
They installed it for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, so you call them and then they come.
Yes.
And what happens?
He said, I think I fixed it.
All right.
And what he did was, if you notice, not the metal part, but the plastic part, he heated it and sort of bent the plastic part back.
Okay.
And it seemed like it was okay.
And you're happy because it was free. You tell him, hey, good news, that was free.
Exactly.
So he's ecstatic. And then what happens?
And then I noticed, as I opened the door, it just keeps going ba-boom, boom. And it's that same spot that you see circled. The door just won't glide over that naturally. And then you'll see that I also took a picture this month of the frame of the door so you can see that the gap is still there.
So why did you call him and say, hey, it was free? Did you not notice the gap before? Like, in other words, when the guy came and heated it up and thought he had fixed it, the gap was still there?
No, it wasn't. Because the door seemed to be resting on the track just as it should.
And then what happened? How did it stop resting on the track?
I don't know the answer to that, but what I can tell you is although the company was able to heat the plastic part.
They never fixed the metal part?
No.
Well,
he didn't think it would be an issue. He thought it was just the plastic part.
Okay, so you realize that it's sticking.
Yeah.
You get a quote to replace the frame. And then you reach out to him and you tell him that, and then you tell him, oh, and by the way, the deck is a problem, where you left the piano for an hour. And what does he say?
He didn't believe it, and so as we were talking on the phone, he asked for photos. I said to the defendant, you want to see this. You really need to see the boards. A picture won't do it justice. And he did. He came over and he went from one deck to the one end to the other end, and he looked, got down, took some photographs, and he said, you're right.
Okay.
Please get a quote. And I was finally able to get a quote, with everything that's gone on. I was able to get a quote in October.
And how long ago had this happened?
The deck?
Yeah.
Oh, I think in my paperwork
the move
it says
was in
probably
June,
July.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did it take so long? It doesn't matter, but I'm just curious why it took so long.
Because I tried to hire name brand stores, I'll say, who do deck work to come out and give me a quote, but they're booked.
Yeah, but it's 4 months. I'm just curious because you're far less likely to get paid if you wait, like in a situation like this, And then what happens? You text him that you're going to send him the quotes, and he says what?
Excuse me, what is this about again?
And you say?
The debacle from the move of the piano.
And then he says? Never say that. Scroll up and you can see what it's about. Because then you're showing that you don't remember anything. There's so many people complaining about your work that you can't keep them all straight? Go ahead.
What he said was, I'll help with the door, but I'm not giving you anything from the deck. Basically, in clear conscience, I can't. I showed a video to my coworkers, and they said there's no damage.
All right, let me hear from you. Did you come and take a look at the deck?
Yeah, I came in after she said that there was, I came and took a look.
And didn't you say to her, you know what, you're right?
I agreed that one of the boards was about 1 millimeter or 2 lower than the other ones. Mm-hmm. I had to really look for it. So I agreed that was there. That our piano caused it, I'm not sure that.
Well, isn't that exactly where you left the piano for an hour? A 500-pound piano?
I'm not sure that it was.
It is. I have a picture of it. You want me to see? You want to see?
Okay.
Okay. Here's a picture of the piano. Is that the piano?
That looks like the piano.
Yeah. And is that where the bent deck was?
I'm not sure.
That's where the bent deck was, right? Okay.
It's like 4 or 6 boards.
I don't see how it's because there's 4 spots on the piano. I don't know. It's only one of the boards was affected.
I don't know. The thing wasn't. Listen. The lady was really explicit about the one thing she wanted. She didn't want damage to her house based on giving away a piano. Mm-hmm. And that was the only thing she asked for. If I was in your shoes, I would have picked the movers. Mm-hmm. I would have said, I have movers. The movers will cost X. You need to pay these movers. And then the next time, that's what you'll do if you have an errant piano in your house. Because a piano's different than anything else. It really is. You guys are, we were already an hour and a half late, which is bad on you. And therefore, we didn't have any of the tools we needed to move it. But then we made her wait anyway until we did get the ramp that we needed to move it. I mean, it's kind of...
we did have a lot of equipment. The only thing we were missing was the ramp.
The only thing you were missing was the thing you needed to move this without damaging her house. You had steps that you could not navigate by picking it up. Or what were you going to do? Boom, boom, with the 500-pound, come on. You obviously needed a ramp. I mean, anybody who's not a mover knows that. Or you need 20 guys, and you didn't have 20 guys. So we know that you needed a ramp. And plus, even with the angle, with a bunch of guys, I don't know, 500 pounds is a lot. And she's not she's not, someone who's poor trying to make money or greedy trying to make money, because when she thinks they fix it, she's like, woohoo, they fixed it. And then what happened? Then you tell him, I'd like a $250 check for my time.
Well, I had to take 4 hours off of work. And I think my time is valuable.
So she tells you that, and you send her a $250 check.
No, I didn't. I'm willing.
You know
to pay
you
it,
what?
I know that I did not send it, but I have no problem paying.
Wait, did you get it?
No, he never responded.
I have no problem paying that.
He said he would, but he didn't. Wow.
I have no problem with though.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be that. That was to settle that was a smart thing to do, saying, okay, I'll send you $250, please give me a release. That's what you do when you give somebody money and you want to settle it and never have to look at it again. They have to sign a release of liability. But none of that happened in your case because A, you didn't send it, and B, you didn't send a release. So we're not there. So where we are is there is $1,475 worth of damage to this lady's house, and you're going to pay her $1,475. Verdict for the plaintiff.
So the plaintiff gets her money, the $1,475 she was suing for, and the defendant is going to have to pay up. Let's see what Joseph has to say. What's your reaction to the judge's decision?
I get the way it was laid out. I understand, but we do a lot of moves. When people come back later with stories, I'm always skeptical about it. But the way the information was laid out, I get it.
And you walked over and looked at the deck. You said there was a problem, right? You agreed with her.
Yeah, I did. But that our piano caused it, I didn't know that. To me, it's a customer calling a couple months later and saying, making claims. I didn't think, I assumed that it was nothing.
Well, you're wrong, at least in the eyes of the judge, and you got to pay up $1,475, okay?
All right.
All right, Joseph, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Be more careful next time.
Yeah, definitely. I will.
Pianos are tough deals to move, no question about it. So let's see what Miss Sarapillo has to say. It's been a rough road for her, but finally she's going to get her money back. You look like you're happy.
Oh, yes, I am. Justice was served.
I mean, this has been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yes, much longer than it needed to be.
So you're getting the money. Have you already fixed it? Or not?
No. In order for me to even schedule to have my deck door fixed, I had to put 50% down. So I wanted to wait until I saw the outcome of the case.
All right. Well, listen, congratulations. Now you can make that order, okay?
Thank you so much.
So we have a happy plaintiff. Harvey?
Doug, dealing with a moving company can be tricky. What you need to do to protect yourself is this, especially if you have expensive items that will be moved. Take pictures of those items before the mover comes and make it clear when the photos were taken. That way, if there is damage at the end, then you can at least show the judge, here you go, look at the pictures before and after.
If you had chosen a little different path back in college, what do you think you would be doing today?
I was a psychology major, and my full intent was to get a PhD in psychology and be a therapist.
Really?
Yeah, because I knew I wanted to keep going to school.
You kind of are a therapist on the bench sometimes, right?
It's funny because my parents said, you are a much better talker than you are a listener, which is really good to be a lawyer.
Right.
It's not so good if you're a judge. You should really listen more. Unless, of course, you're a TV judge, then it's awesome again.
But don't psychologists have to listen like crazy?
Yeah. That's why she was telling me you're a much better talker than a listener. But I got very interested in the law when I started. I took an internship. It was actually college work study in Janet Reno's office, who later, of course, became Attorney General. But she was the Miami-Dade County prosecutor, and I ended up going to law school really because I wanted to be a prosecutor for her.
Well, I would have, if I'd taken a slightly different path, I think I would have become a teacher. Preferably an English professor, because I loved English when I was in college, and I sort of saw myself on that path. But
like
I don't
a high school English teacher, or college English? College English.
But I never, I didn't pursue it well enough, and I honestly didn't get the grades in the classes that I needed to get the grades in as well in order to pursue that type of career. But I have a friend who's a full professor in English at Northeastern at Merrimack University, and I'm like, I kind of envy the guy. I see him in my mind's eye walking around the campus in a tweed jacket, with the little leather elbow patches, maybe
and a little
pipe in his mouth, clenched between his teeth.
I don't think that's how he walks around.
Young students clamoring to get pearls of wisdom from him and wanting to come up to him all the time, So there you go. I guess that, that's my fantasy, but it's not going to happen.
Meaningless stuff. Why do we gift so much meaningless stuff? Tired of generic gifts and hollow trends? Shutterfly allows you to create meaningful photo gifts for your family and friends. Whether it's a cozy fleece blanket for grandma, a stunning canvas print for mom, or a mug to make dad smile. Enjoy 40% off with code MAKE40 at Shutterfly.com and make something meaningful this year. See site for more details.
This is the plaintiff, Danny Fryer. He says he had a flood in his condo kitchen and the building refuses to reimburse him for the cleaning of the building's common pipe. The defendant is the president of the condominiums board. He refuses to pay him the $597 he's rightfully owed. That's why he's suing him in this court. This is the defendant, Todd Murray. He says the clog in the drain pipe was caused by the homeowner. The guy's trying to collect from the building, and the clog happened 3 years ago. He's sorry, but the plaintiff's owed no money. He's accused of ticking off a tenant.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says he had a bad flood in his apartment and the condo association refuses to pay for the damage. But the defendant says that the clog in the plaintiff's pipe was caused by him and he's trying to get the building to pay for his misdeeds. It's the case of ticking off a tenant.
The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Could you imagine that? No. I'm not letting you do that. Litigants have been sworn.
Mr. Fryer, you are suing Laurel Tellis LLC, your homeowners association, for $597 that you say they owe you in legal fees, cleanup fees, and for a drain cleaning where you had to hire Roto-Rooter because, according to you, this was a condo issue and not a unit-specific issue. Let me hear your claim. Go ahead.
Well, 4 years ago, I purchased a unit in Fort Lauderdale, and it's a small complex, and such is the case in most small complexes. Its board is dominated by an incestuous group of longtime residents that feel that because of their longevity that they're entitled to run the show over there. And there's three people that control the board, headed by this maniac who's an incredibly ignorant woman who has a hard time articulating a complete English sentence at our board meetings, her friend. And then a character we call Tickle Me, who is our resident prima donna, who loves to practice his little social sorcery and manipulating people so he can have a sense of effervescence and titillation. So when I purchased there, I made friends with a couple of people that were on the outside of this inner clique. And in doing so, these people can really make your life miserable. In fact, one resident there had a cousin from Chile who had a soccer scholarship at a Florida university living with her. And they made him move out because of some old antiquated bylaws that said you got to be a family member. And this 19-year-old boy at the springboard of life ended up giving up his soccer scholarship and going back to Chile because he was just so emotionally devastated. And these are the type of things that go on in this place. And I, being a friend of this individual, was also subject to their kind of harassment.
Okay, I'm very familiar with condo commandos. I'm from South Florida. That's why I'm so familiar.
Okay, I bet.
What I need is for you to tell me about what happened in this case and the plumbing issue that you had. So talk to me and tell me what happened. You discover the plumbing issue when?
I came home and my sink wouldn't drain on my own water. And then I went upstairs and told Tickle Me to stop using his water because there's a clog and it's outside my unit. And, the condo ought to fix it. Well, he was on the board, and several days went by, and they didn't fix it. They didn't call the resident plumber. Then he cops an attitude and floods me out. All of a sudden, I got a flooded-out apartment.
What do you mean floods you out?
Well, he ran his water upstairs, and we share a common drain, okay?
Okay, but so you didn't call a plumber to get it fixed, and he eventually used water, right? Okay, all right, so did you then call a plumber?
Yeah, then I was forced to call a plumber. Otherwise, this idiot upstairs would continually flush me out using his water in his kitchen, and then I'd have to clean up.
Okay.
So this went on for a couple of days.
Who did you call out? Roto-Rooter?
I called Roto-Rooter, and they came out. And on the invoice, he states that there are no issues within my unit pipe under the sink, and that the clog was 25 to 30 feet out in the common area.
How did they know that? How is it that they knew that?
Well, they had a snake and an auger, and they fed the pipe.
I snaked kitchen sink line in Unit 1 out 25 to 30 feet. Clog located within shared waste stack for that side of building. No issues found within the unit's pipe under the sink. Okay, fair enough. So then do you present this to the condo board and say, hey, this wasn't anything I did. This is common area and you guys should pay it?
Yeah, I did. And they wouldn't. They're just being nasty. And because I was aligned with this other resident at the condo, they started victimizing me. And they play this game. Even in the
By the way,
bylaws,
let me just say, I don't know that there's anything particularly unusual about a condo bylaw or antiquated about a condo bylaw saying only family members can live with you. You can't just bring in anyone. I don't think that that's particularly antiquated. Most condos have rules about that. So if he brought in someone who's not a family member and was housing him, perhaps they didn't like that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do think there's something wrong with not paying for a drain cleaning that you have evidence occurred in common pipes. And I'm kind of curious as to why then they wouldn't pay for it. So I'd like to hear from Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray, I know you're a new president, right?
That's correct.
All right. So what's your understanding about why this wouldn't be paid? Because the Roto-Rooter bill kind of is pretty clear.
No, that's true. Back in 2019, there was another president, and apparently that HOA board hired a plumber to go over to Mr. Fryer's place, and the condo plumber basically said that there was some grease and some stuff in his pipes underneath from food and grease and things like that.
Okay, so we've got battling plumbers. Let me see that report.
Unfortunately, this is two property management companies ago, so no one could produce the document. The only thing I could get was, one of the past residents kind of explaining. Chit-chat,
hearsay? That's what we call hearsay in court. Somebody chit-chatting to you something that they claim happened. But how do you think that's going to play out here? Not only do you not have the reason why you didn't pay, he's got the opposite. He's actually got proof that it's in the common area and it's not in his unit. Let me ask you a question. If you were presented with a bill like this today, what would you advise the board to do?
I mean, obviously, it doesn't look great in that scenario because the document that we had that from our plumber that stated that is not being produced. The situation that we were kind of going with here was it was brought before a previous board about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And for that board, having all the current documents at that time decline the plumbing.
Let me suggest that any board from here on in, and the boards that you're going to be running, run a little more efficiently. There's a statute of limitations, and he's within the statute of limitations. So if you got to keep stuff at least as long as the statute of limitations, because you can get sued. Whether the prior board decided to pay it or not, I don't care. Well, you're suing for cleanup, $50. How do you figure?
Well, it took $25 an hour going rate for cleaning ladies, and it took a couple hours to clean up the whole kitchen. You have the photograph of the
Yeah, but I don't get it. According to you,
water.
the thing backed up because the guy had the nerve to use his water. You had to know that if nobody had fixed it, the guy at some point was going to have the nerve to use his water. Why didn't you just call a plumber and get it done, and then bill them, which is what you ended up doing?
I was waiting.
Sooner.
I was waiting.
Okay.
Waiting for the condo to
and that's
do the
fine.
right
You
thing.
have the choice to do that, but it is quite predictable that at some point, if you choose to do that, then at some point somebody might use water. I'm not going to order them to pay you $50 for cleanup. The $177 for legal fees. Tell me about that.
Well, I had hired an attorney on some other issues regarding the condo, and he actually spoke with the attorney that represents the condo association. You have the invoice from my attorney. And there you see 3 items there where it talks about plumbing issues and current status, and totaled to $177. And the Becker Law Firm actually said pay the guy. And I also want to add that Todd himself had the same problem, and he got his plumbing paid for. And it was a shared stack.
Todd, did you have the same problem, and did the condo board pay for a plumber?
I did have the same problem, and I did get reimbursed for it, yes, because I brought...
How do you think this is going, Todd?
I understand. I mean, look, all I could do, just let me say this. He came with me and presented me the option of paying the bill. I told him kindly that I would, appropriately bring it to the other board members. I basically explained his side of the story to him, and all of the board members declined it based on the fact that they wanted to move forward.
That sounds
from
more
previous...
by way of, hey, I did my best, Mr. Fryer excuse, as opposed to a condo defense. There is no condo defense. According to him, your own lawyers told you to pay it. But aside from that, you have zero evidence that you're presenting in court, and your board apparently didn't keep a whit of the evidence, nor did they bother to go get it now in order for you to come in here prepared. So I have seen the evidence of the legal fees. I find that there was really, I don't see absolutely any reason not to have paid this. He had to incur $370 for Roto-Rooter, and he incurred $177 in legal fees. I'm not giving him the cleanup, but that's $547. Verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
So it's a long time coming, but the plaintiff is going to get back $547. What do you think, Mr. Murray?
I'm fine with that. We just wanted to hash it out in court, and I'll take the judgment.
Especially if you went through the same thing. It's amazing you didn't get him to push this through. But anyway, that's what the judge decides, so you're on the hook for it. Mr. Fryer, good for you for pursuing this and finally going to court. Was it a tough decision for you to sue them? I don't believe it was it?
Well, actually it was, because it was several years since I brought the case, and I didn't want to, really stigmatize myself as this outsider in this incestuous group of prima donnas that has really victimized a couple of other people. It's just incredibly incestuous, stubborn, ignorant people that have got nothing better to do but then to run for a condo board, and they know nothing about property management. Our building is got all kinds of problems because these people don't want to do anything and spend any money. And I have to put up with them now, but now I'll have a little more authority with this victory.
Why don't you run for the board? How about that?
Well, I will, and but it's a small board, and you got these old cliques, and they stay in power and do what they want to do regardless of the bylaws and the law. And that's it.
Look,
so
it's over now. You've won, so congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for this case. Harvey?
Doug, just to tie this up, when there is a problem that causes damage in a condominium complex and the damage is resulting from something in a common area, that is the responsibility of the association, the condo association, to deal with, not the individual homeowners.
If someone co-signs on an apartment and then after a few years they go month to month, is the person still responsible like they were when there was a lease?
The guarantor?
Right.
No. Their guarantee is just for the duration of the lease. It's not in perpetuity forever.
Right.
It's for the
1-year
beginning
lease
and end of the lease that's right on the contract.
Lease, whatever it is, right? They're off the hook.
Yeah, the lessor is, I guess, a month to month if they just stay there and they're responsible.
Presumably
obviously.
they're responsible under the same terms. But you got to be careful when you sign as a guarantor on those kinds of things for people.
I wouldn't do that for anybody but my children, and I don't even want to do it for them. But I'm forced to.
A lot of stuff can go wrong. They can stiff the landlord on the rent, not be able to pay the rent.
Damage the place.
Then it's on you. They could trash the place, burn it down. God only knows. But, things happen like that, and you don't look ahead and think of it.
No, you think everybody thinks everything is going to be okay, and sometimes it's not okay. We make a living out of when it's not okay.
Exactly.